play here. Do you live ECU? Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
It is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday, September 9th edition of the program. We're 4 days out from East Carolina and Coastal Carolina. We'll get into that matchup and a whole lot more over the course of the next hour. Our plan is to dive into the American Conference as well. And we'll tell you why the American has the inside early track to the college football playoff amongst the schools or the conferences outside of the Power Four. A lot on the way as well. We'll talk to Kevin Monroe, ECU Sports Network analyst. We've also got to read all your comments on YouTube, Facebook, and X, as we always do. Those comment sections are open. So if you got anything to add to the show, you want to talk ECU Coastal, you want to talk NFL, you want to talk college football as a whole, drop that in the chat. We'll get to it over the course of the next hour. Download Apple Podcast and Spotify for our latest shows, as well as the IBX Media app. And subscribe on YouTube. Our 94.3 The Game YouTube page continues to grow. We're almost to 2,000 subscribers, which is where we interact with many of you listening to this show, especially those that listen to it live. Philip Pilkington, he is back in the 94.3 The Game studios. Philip, how are you doing on this fine Tuesday now that week one of NFL and our fantasy team season is in the books?
I'm doing okay till that little false start I had there playing a regional instead of the open, so I apologize for that. Other than that, I'm good. Won all my fantasy matchups. Didn't get kicked out of my Chopped League. I'm in a league where you don't play people, but you just the lowest score each week gets kicked out till there's nobody left. So survived that, and so I guess other than the Panthers playing like crap, I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing well. I did watch Bears-Vikings last night, and that was, I guess, an experience for not a great Monday night game, but at least somewhat intriguing with McCarthy and Caleb Williams going at it. But it's just good to have the option to watch Monday night. I guess we have a doubleheader next week, and I watched some MLB last night. Shout out to Alec Burleson. He came off the injured list, former ECU standout baseball player, homered against my Seattle Mariners, but the Mariners did win the game, so it was a best-case scenario for me, and that's always a good thing. Philip, I did want to ask, we're going to talk a lot about the American today, as Lane is in the chat. He says ECU to the college football playoff after they dog walk USF and the FIC. I guess he's going to say that ECU is going to host the conference championship because they don't play in the regular season, which that would be an extremely awesome situation. But ECU Coastal, let's get a vibe check on this. How are we feeling? It's still pretty early in the week. We're going to talk to Chris Virgin later this week. Coastal Carolina play-by-play voice on Thursday. We'll get a more in-depth feel of the Chanticleers then. But the line is at 7.5. I just posted the article on Hoist the Colors. The line right now at 7.5. The total is at 56.5 for the game as far as points scored. 88% of the money, according to DraftKings, as of late this morning, has been put on East Carolina. How are we feeling as ECU gets ready to go back on the road?
The tough thing is Coastal's best thing is their ability to stop the run, and I still feel like ECU has not ran the ball to their full potential yet this season. With that being said, I just don't know how much Coastal was going to be able to score on this East Carolina defense. Not that I think ECU has looked like world beaters by any means on defense, but the Coastal team has really struggled to move the football. Only 13 points last week against an okay, I guess, FCS program in Charleston Southern. So I think this could be one of those where people are going to hate me for saying this because it's going to be a snooze fest, but I could see it being like a 21-7 type game right now, I think is kind of what we're looking at. I mean, will it probably end up being that? No, there's very few college football games that are that low scoring, but just when you look at the teams and you look how they've played the last couple weeks, that's kind of what you should expect, because I'm a little worried ECU will be one-dimensional, but I almost worry will Coastal's offense be no-dimensional.
Yeah, I look at the total, and I definitely would lean under, but I do wonder, part of me is like, we haven't really seen ECU's offense hit explosive plays a ton as far as like the big plays. Now they hit a bunch of like 20 to 30 yard plays against Campbell, but it just feels like we're going to see some big passing plays from specifically Anthony Smith, Yannick Smith in these coming games. We have seen Javante Connor make a huge catch and run at NC State, but that one in some ways was kind of fluky because it was a offside or a substitution penalty. They were just taking a shot on a 3rd and long and bounced off a tackle. But like just a play where a guy gets behind the defense, I think ECU is due for that. I also, I do wonder, like it is college football. I know defenses are playing better than they have been. They're catching up to some of these offensive schemes, but like Coastal can't be as bad as they looked on offense, right? Or have looked. I don't know. Maybe they are. Maybe for ECU's sake, they will remain that way, and it'll be another futile effort on offense. But like I know they have some team speed, and I know MJ Morris has some talent. We'll see if he or Tad Hudson gets the call at quarterback. But it wouldn't surprise me if this game turns into just a bit of a dogfight. I fully expect Coastal to be amped for this game. I expect them to play their best game of the season. And, all I will say is ECU better come to play. We talked about it a little bit on the show yesterday. ECU going to these Sunbelt teams on the road, it's never been easy. The couple of wins at Old Dominion have been dogfights. They went to Georgia State in 2020 and got punked. They've gone to App State and they've got punked there. So ECU has to play its A game because typically in this spot, the Sunbelt team is going to really get up for the game. And I expect Coastal Carolina to be up for this one. And the other aspect of it is, too, there's a lot of buzz. And look, I don't think the team is looking ahead, but with the announcement of the night game for the BYU game, you have the potential for a look-ahead game here as well, Philip. So a bit of a trap game, I think. I just want to see ECU get off to a good start and not kind of fall into a lull here, which can sometimes happen in these spots.
Yeah, and you bring up the night game there with BYU, and does just the fact that was announced as a 7:30 ESPN2 kick, does that add to the potential for a trap game? I would say possibly. Am I overthinking this, Stephen?
I mean, I think the players are extremely hyped for the ECU night game, and so I feel like you've got to – I think it's natural. Look, we're all humans.
Yeah. And
how can you not get excited about the potential of being 2-1 and hosting BYU, especially when it's announced on a game week for another game? So, like, I will say this. I think Blake Harrell does a heck of a job keeping these guys focused on the task at hand. Now they're all on social media. They're all looking at the posts about BYU, blah, 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 blah. BYU has a bye week this week, by the way, so they have an advantage there. So I think there'll be some natural, all right, I'm excited for that game. But also if you go out to Coastal and you lose to Coastal, you can take really that would be a massive swing downturn for the rest of the season, not just the BYU game, but that would potentially alter the course of your entire season. So huge swing game. ECU's got to find a way to show up. Ryan Benner says the road is always tough for us, and couldn't agree more. Corsair says Coach Harrell just needs to make sure the guys are up for the game. Then everything will take care of itself. And look, at the end of the day, it's a regional game. And the other factor is, Phil, if they were going to like Tulsa or North Texas, I'd be a little more concerned. Yeah. I expect there to be a lot of ECU fans there on Saturday, which should help.
Yeah, Coach Harrell talked about it yesterday that East Carolina has already used all of their allowed tickets. And that just means, John Gilbert in the athletic department gets to request X amount. That's the way college football works. And that goes to the Pirate Club. And I'm not exactly sure what that number is, but those have all been used. Well, plenty of people, I'm sure Stephen as well as I do, that are going down for this game. And I do know a handful of other people that would be going down if we didn't have the wedding this weekend that I'm in or that I'm going to. So, look, I definitely think there's a decent amount of people heading down there. And think of how many Pirate fans live down in the Morehead City area or, down in the Wilmington area. And it's really not a very far drive down to Conway. And then also a lot of Pirate fans probably have beach houses down in that Myrtle Beach area, as well as it's really not a terrible drive from Charlotte to Myrtle Beach as well. Zoki and I were talking about that Saturday night and how he's like, with the new bypass past Monroe, really doesn't take that long to get to Myrtle Beach anymore from the Queen City. So I do think that Pirate fans always travel well. This reminds me a lot of the ODU game a couple years ago as far as what numbers I think we should expect. It's right about the same time of the year. You're looking, it's a little bit farther down to Conway, but still kind of that same, kind of backwoods country drive, and it's still a lesser than group of 5 opponents. So I'm guessing there's going to be 4,000 Pirate fans there.
Yeah, somebody asked me to guess. I said 5 to 6. I mean, I just think there's going to be – now, that's a lot for a road game, but I just think there's going to be a good amount. I think a lot of people had a good experience at Coastal for the baseball tournament. And I think a lot of people chose to go to this game over NC State. This game's allotment sold out quicker than NC State, as far as I've heard. So now I don't know if there was as many tickets, but still, you just played NC State in the bowl game as well. All right, final thought here. We'll get a break in before we dive into the American. But BYU being announced as a 7:30 kickoff. We were asked on the show, what would we prefer? We would have preferred something a little earlier, Philip, noon. But I will say and I think, too, like the side of it is, I think in the ideal world, it's 95 degrees when the BYU Cougars come over here and play at noon. But if it wasn't going to be that, and you weren't going to get that true Eastern Carolina home field advantage, then, a night game on national TV where your fans are going to have all day to tailgate. It's a huge recruiting weekend. Like, it's probably, best case scenario for the fans, and it has the potential to be just an incredible atmosphere.
Yeah, you want that humidity up, though. Like you said, you want it hot in the middle of the day. It's at night. Now, what I'm about to say would hinder the tailgating, unfortunately, and may not bring some of the crowd energy, but maybe if we do some in-house tailgating, maybe if we can get a freaking monsoon to come through from, about noon till about 6, and just enough for the sunlight to come out and start to evaporate some of that water and just have it hot and muggy and have those guys sweating a lot during pregame warm-ups when the sun's still out. That would be ideal, I think, with the 7:30 kick. And I know it's not ideal, like I said, for the tailgating, but just weather-wise, we need all the help we can get,
Need all the humidity and home field advantage because it's going to be a tough one when that game arrives. So that'll be a fun one. A lot of night games. 7:30 this week against Coastal, 7:30 against BYU. Of course, the Army game is a Thursday night. Of course, the Tulane game is a Thursday night. Of course, the Tulsa game is a Thursday night. So a lot of night games on the way. So a lot of fun tailgating ahead. We will take a break. When we come back, we'll dive into the American, why the American Conference has the inside track to the college football playoff. We'll discuss that. We'll discuss ECU's place in the American and a whole lot more next. This is Hoist the Colors.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Ahar, matey!
Back to the show with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in Hoist the Colors, Tuesday, September 9th edition of the show. We just talked ECU and Coastal. It'll be a 7:30 kickoff inside Brooks Stadium on Saturday, and so we'll talk about that throughout the remainder of the week. Let's dive into the American right now. We will hit on ECU within the American Conference because I think ECU will certainly play a role within this league. But just the conference as a whole, I think for the most part, outside of a few teams, has started things about as well as possible. And obviously the headliner has been the South Florida Bulls, who have taken down Boise State in pretty dominant fashion, along with Florida on the road, putting Billy Napier squarely back on the hot seat. But also Tulane took care of Northwestern. Memphis is 2-0. Temple's off to a nice start at 2-0. North Texas had an ugly win on the road, but found a way to get it done this past weekend at Western Michigan. And it's never easy for a team like North Texas to go on the road pretty far and win. So good win by them. FAU got a bounce-back win. Rice has looked decent. Navy's looked as expected. And then Army loses to Charleston State and then comes back and beats Kansas State on the road. And right now, with the win over Boise State, we kind of alluded to this in week one, Philip Pilkinen producing today's show, that would allow not only USF but the American to have the inside track. And really, you look at the AP top 25 right now, South Florida, I think, 17 or 18? I don't know the
18.
official ranking. 18. And Tulane getting votes, Navy getting votes, Memphis getting votes. The only other group of 5 team getting a vote is UNLV. And I guess that would be the one team as of right now that, they're coming off a win over UCLA. They beat San Houston State. They also almost lost to Idaho State. But I just don't really see them as a threat to run the table, nor only finish the season with 1 loss. So right now, just the American has positioned itself, Philip, mainly with South Florida, but also with some of these other teams putting itself in a position to potentially claim that coveted playoff spot.
Yeah, I think, when you look at UNLV, the schedule's not extremely tough. Not that the Mountain West is a bad league. They could run the table. And in that case, it does, you worry about that whole, South Florida, if they do lose. Let's just hypothetical, they do play Miami this week. It's going to be tough. We talked about at the beginning of the season. If they didn't beat Boise, they were probably going to start 0-3. Well, here they are 2-0 right now with that win already in Gainesville. But still, they're let's just hypothetically they lose this week. They're 17-point dogs. But does that win over Florida then portray them ahead of a team like UNLV? Who knows? I know Lane said East Carolina's path to the playoff is beating South Florida and Dowdy-Ficklin. Sorry, Lane. If 2 teams are undefeated, they're going to go with the team who's more highly ranked, gets the home game. So we're probably going to have to go to Tampa and win that one in Raymond James. Now, we could go undefeated. They could come in with 1 conference loss. I do get that. But if that's the case and they've already lost to Miami and we've got a loss to State, now you're a little more worried about that UNLV. So I think our best bet actually is for Miami to win out, or sorry, South Florida to win out maybe lose this week, but other than that, went out, be 11-1, and then go in there and beat them at home. So I know I kind of went off on a thing there, but just I thought about that point earlier. So yeah, I mean the other thing that can help the conference look good is Tulane. They host Duke this week, and Duke kind of laid an egg there in the fourth quarter last week against Illinois, but I think Duke is still going to be a 7 or 8 win team out of the ACC, and there are opportunities all around. North Texas is hosting an okay Washington State team this week. That's a win you want to get. And I want to say is there another game in here I go against a solid opponent?
This coming weekend?
Yeah.
You've got FAU at FIU, which, I mean, look, FIU is not a great team, but that's a team or a game that the American needs to win. The other one is, I would say, Washington State at North Texas.
Yeah.
2-0 teams.
Memphis at Troy.
And then
Troy's not
the other
bad.
one, man, Oklahoma is going to Temple. I'm not going to say that Temple is going to win the game, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I will watch that game just to see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the line is on that game. I assume
it's like
quite a bit.
23 or something like that.
Yeah, so
23.5.
We'll find out a lot more about Temple, which has looked really good, but the competition has been slim. So Johnny Stats adding that Temple quarterback Evan Simon has thrown for 9 touchdowns on 27 completed passes. So every 3 passes he's thrown a touchdown. Yeah, Memphis kind of sputtered with, I think it was Georgia State last week, so they go back on the road. Troy, like you said, pretty solid. North Texas hosting Washington State will be interesting. The South Florida thing, I don't think I was looking at UNLV, they were outgained by 100 yards by UCLA, and they have struggled in some of these other games. Now they're winning. I give them credit. I would just be surprised if they run the table. They got to go to Boise. They got 2 road games in a row coming up here as well, at Miami of Ohio, at Wyoming. We'll see. But if I'm South Florida, the Miami game matters. But you've kind of already done what you needed to do. This is just.
I think so.
I think they're already in. Even if they lose this game, they should stay in the top 25, right?
They will. Let's just compare them to last year's Boise team. Boise played Oregon. Was it week 2, week 3, and lost to Oregon, and they didn't even have that signature Power 5 win that South Florida has already gotten against the Gators. So I think 11-1 would then be 12-1. If they'd win the conference championship, South Florida team, you're feeling pretty good. What worries me, though, with South Florida, again, if they do lose this one and then they lose somewhere else, what are the likelihoods of a 2-loss group of 5 team getting in? Well, if everybody's got 2 losses, it's 100%. But the problem is, if not everyone ends up with 2 losses, yes, one of those would be to Miami. But let's say they slip up and lose one they really shouldn't. And then maybe you got a UNLV team who comes in with just 1 loss. Maybe they just lose at Boise, but then they beat Boise in the conference championship game. Could you give that nod to them? So I don't know, but it's definitely something to think about.
Also, I'm looking at South Florida. They have to go to North Texas. They have to go to Memphis. They have to go to Navy. I know South Florida is good. Those are all tough games.
Yeah.
Especially at Memphis and at Navy. So I just don't know if I see any team in this league running the table. South Florida has obviously been good. Let's be honest, though. Florida gave them the game. And if you look at the net success rate of the Boise-South Florida game, Boise was actually more successful play in, play out. It's just that the bad plays went very much in South Florida's favor. So they won the game by a lot. But, it's one of those things. I think the American top to bottom is so much better than the Mountain West. Memphis, Tulane, South Florida, Navy. I think they're all legitimate threats to win the league, and I think ECU can easily beat Memphis, can easily beat the top teams in this league. ECU at Tulane, that is not an unwinnable game for East Carolina. So the top 5 or 6 teams in this league, as we saw, NC State looked better against Virginia, at least offensively, won the game. ECU was in position to win that game despite being down 17-0 and playing terrible. So I just think this league is clearly showing it's the best of the other conferences, and I just hope the committee realizes that, Philip, and actually does their homework.
Yeah, I hope they do too. They need to take a deep dive into this. I mean, there's a lot of financial ramifications for the league that gets into this thing. Hopefully they do the right thing. But look, they put Liberty. It's the same committee that put Liberty in to the final year of the old BCS. Put them in the or I guess it wasn't the BCS, but final year of the old college football playoff thing.
They got crushed by Oregon.
New Year's Six game. Yeah. So I don't know. Now here's a Tulane thought. Got Duke this week. Duke's going to be tough. Go to Oxford. Okay, that's going to be brutal. But let's just say you beat Duke, you lose at Ole Miss. At Tulsa, bye week, ECU, a few extra days off before hosting Army, bye week, at UTSA at Memphis. That could be tough, but UTSA hasn't looked that good. Like I said, Memphis was meh against Georgia State last week. Then they close the year FAU at Temple, home against Charlotte. 11-1 or 12-1 is not out of the realm of possibility, I think, for the Green Wave either.
I think if they win against Duke, if I had to set the odds in Vegas, they have a much more manageable American Conference slate than USF does. I would say that Tulane would probably be a betting favorite to still win the league, despite South Florida's ranking. So that is I guess if you do have one concern is, are the top teams in the league all going to beat each other up? Are they all going to give each other one or two losses? And then does a UNLV or whoever sneak through with an undefeated or one-loss scenario? I guess best case scenario is you have undefeated, Tulane, undefeated South Florida meeting for a championship. But realistically, that's probably not happening. So probably best case scenario, you get one loss South Florida, one loss Tulane, or one loss ECU. So we got a lot of ECU fans listening to the show. Let's say you get one loss ECU facing one loss South Florida in the conference championship. In that scenario, I think you would be looking at the winner going to the playoff, barring some sort of miracle.
Yeah, I think so. The tough thing, though, I think about this really does come down to, do they value the conference more, about your point, or do they value the win-losses more? And I think with, like you said, they're going to beat up on each other. I think the top of the Mountain West is tough, but I don't think it's as tough. Now, could they all still beat up on each other? Yes, but I think, like you said, you need two one-loss teams playing each other, or two undefeated teams playing each other, or at worst, a one-loss and an undefeated team, because I think a two-loss American team, it could be tough. It really
it's going to be tough.
Now, again, what helps us, Miami of Ohio, they're kind of one of the favorites in the Mountain West, in the MAC. They are 0-2. They've lost to Rutgers and to Wisconsin. They didn't look good in either game, but I don't know.
What do we make of Army? There's a million ways to take that question. I will say I was looking at the box score, and I listened to the Kansas State post-game presser. I was just reading Go Power Cat, which is our Kansas State 24/7 site, just to see their reaction to the game.
Yeah.
Did you know, Philip, that during this game, there was a span of about 25 minutes of game action consecutively that Army had the football? Because
into the first half, beginning of the second.
So you would think that, but look at this. All right, so third quarter, Army's trailing 13-7. They go on a 14-play, 89-yard, 8-minute touchdown drive. Kansas State returns the kickoff for a touchdown, which is good, but your defense gets zero rest. Army comes back out, 13-play, 57-yard touchdown drive, field goal drive, 7:22 of game clock. And then Kansas State muffs the kick. Army recovers, 14-play, 56 yards, 8 minutes off the clock. So Kansas State's defense was on the field basically 25 consecutive minutes of game action, which played a huge role in this game turning. So I say that to say, I don't know how fluky all that is. Obviously, you don't go to Kansas State and win by mistake. I think the truth here is somewhere in the middle on Army.
I think so. And, we're worried about their quarterback situation. And I talked to Coach Monken, prior to the season, media day, and, he said, look, it might take a little time to get this figured out. And didn't move the ball really well, didn't control the clock as well as they wanted to against Tarleton State week 1. Not that that's an excuse to lose to Tarleton State. but maybe they've got their quarterback situation figured out. I mean, yes, like you said, it's fluky. They had the ball that long, but also they put together 3 drives that long. Yes, Kansas State defense was getting tired, but that was set from a long scoring drive by Army, and maybe the offense is moving a little more fluently. And you know, it's weird with these service academies. It's like sometimes you want to get them really early because they haven't figured it out yet, but then like they peak kind of in the middle of the season, and then their physical play, they start to get banged up, and they like fall off at the end of the year. I hope we're not getting them too much in the middle of the season.
Yeah, Kel Helms was their quarterback against Kansas State. He came in late against Tarleton State. I actually thought he looked better than the starter, Dwayne Coleman. Not sure if Coleman was still hurt or if they just went with Helms, but I thought he made a difference just being back there at quarterback. He looks more physical. He looks a lot like more of what Bryson Daly brought to the table. So we'll continue to keep you up to date on the American. I think it's shaping up to be an exciting year. Again, UTSA losing at home to Texas State, that was not a good loss. I know Texas State's a quality team, but it's a game you wanted UTSA to win. But other than that, I feel like the league has gone just about how as best as it could otherwise outside of their results thus far. And I think they'll continue to improve throughout the year. All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll talk to Kevin Monroe, ECU Sports Network color analyst. He was inside Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium for the Saturday game against Campbell. We'll get his take, plus his take on what's to come with the non-conference schedule as well for the Pirates. This is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. It is Tuesday, September 9th. We're talking ECU, Coastal Carolina. 4 days away from that. And also, we're just talking about the American Conference, how they have the inside track to the playoff potentially early in the season, thanks to South Florida and some others. All right, we've got Kevin Monroe on the phone, ECU Sports Network analyst. Kevin was back inside Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium for the team's 56-3 win over Campbell. Kevin, how was it? How was it to be back inside the Fick, man? Does it still give you goosebumps at times?
It does, man. I really enjoy that stadium. I mean, in my tenure there, the scoreboard went up, the upper deck went up. So it was like a lot of those things that now over the years that have been improved. To see 50,000 seats, we obviously didn't sell out, but to see that the large capacity there, man, and be there and have a good crowd, it's always fun being in the Fick, just enjoying it.
All right, I wanted to ask you about ECU. We'll get more into that in a minute, but I want to start with your two sons, man. Obviously, we talked a lot about Marcus Monroe on the show, Stanford commit with North Raleigh Christian Academy, and also your younger son, Derek Monroe, but you guys call him Butter, right? He's off to a heck of a start at varsity. So first off, how are you guys handling this? Because they're playing at two different schools, right? How are you guys handling this as a family? How's it going this far?
Yeah, so it's been interesting. I have missed one, I guess now, two of Butter's games. I've seen one and missed two. I've seen all three of Marcus's. And for me, it's just one of these things where it's like it's his senior year. I'd hate to miss any games his senior year, and I'll have 3 more years of Butter. But I do want to try to catch as many of Butter's games as possible. So the wife and I pretty much divide and conquer. She's seen 2 of Butter's games and missed 1. And so, yeah, it's been interesting. I'll tell you the worst part was game 1. Marcus didn't do much at all. They just couldn't find a way to give him the football. He had 2 catches for like 15 yards. And I was just sitting in the stands bummed. And then my wife sends me a video text message, and Butter had taken a punt return 74 yards for a touchdown, his first high school touch. So that just brightened the whole evening up, and it was really cool. So, yeah, I mean, since then, Marcus has been on fire. You know, he had 9 catches for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns this past week, and Butter's playing well. So it's been fun just to kind of follow them both. It really has been.
We'll keep tabs on both those guys. Again, Butter Monroe at green level, also Marcus doing his thing before he heads to Stanford. All right, Kevin Monroe with us. ECU wins 56-3 in the home opener. So just overall takeaways, Kevin, what stood out to you most from ECU's home opening win?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll start, on offense. Caden Hauser was just, he was impressive. I really liked what he was able to do. His accuracy throughout the ball game was great. 15 different receivers caught passes. I know 2 other quarterbacks played, so those, I don't think all 15 were from Caden, but he was able to hit so many different receivers. Brock Spalding, stood out as a kid that just, he can play outside, he can play inside. He'll catch a deep ball, he'll catch a short one and get one after catch. Really impressed with him. Anthony Smith continues to do his thing. Yannick didn't have a great first week at state, but this week he made so many tough catches, cross the middle, third downs. So I really like what I saw in the passing and receiving game. I think there's probably still some work to do in the run game, even though we ended up with 172 yards rushing. I think there's, a lot of that came, third and fourth quarters in the game was out of hand. Something about just getting holes open for those guys and allowing them to hit them and see the right cuts. Just got to be fixed. I don't think they ran bad on Saturday. They just could do better, especially against an opponent like Campbell. So love to see that get better. Defensively, I mean, man, you saw a little bit of everything. We got pressure on the quarterback, a couple of sacks in the back end, nothing going over top. They really forced Campbell to check down on most of their pass attempts. When they ran the football, there was really no real run lanes there. So I was excited to see what the defense was able to do. I mean, this is a defense that was, dismantled after the end of last season, whether it be to seniors or whatever, or transfers, what have you. But so many guys left, and you had to bring in so many new faces. And so to see this defense play well through 2 weeks, I think has been the most exciting thing about this program. The DBs in the back end played better week 2 than they did in week 1, definitely. So yeah, it was a good outing for the Pirates. And to continue to keep their foot on the gas pedal the entire game. I mean, there hasn't been a game that big a point spread in forever. So just impressive all the way around by the Pirates.
Kevin Monroe with us, ECU Sports Network analyst. Kevin, we talked to J.D. Lampley, a defensive lineman, on Monday, and I kind of asked him, like, look, all offseason, all the media, like all the fans talked about, man, this defense, I just don't know. Like, there's a lot of questions, and like I think they understand it because so many guys graduated or left. And he said that, look, that kind of gave them something to prove. It gave them a chip on their shoulder. He says that they go into every game feeling like it's kind of personal, that they have something to prove defensively. So, I don't know, you're a player, like I'm sure you try to ignore the noise, but they hear all that stuff, especially these days. So how much, are you buying into this defense being pretty legit through 2 games versus, hey, obviously they still have to do it against better opponents as well?
I think they are absolutely legit through the front 7 and at safety. I think I still need to see more out of the corners. The corners did not play great in game 1. They played better in this past game, but also Tamir Brown ended up starting. He didn't start in game 1, so that was a little bit of a difference. So I still want to see more out of the corners. I think we're going to be tested, and maybe not this week against Coastal, maybe not against BYU because they don't really spread it out and throw it around a bunch. But eventually they'll be tested on the outside. Like they were in the NC State game. But the rest of the defense, going 9 strong, I think there's 9 really good players on defense, and the 2 corners have to prove themselves to me. But it's so far so good. They're tackling the running backs well. Hollywood Smothers, he had a couple of longer runs against NC State against East Carolina. But he was going crazy against Virginia in the same back, and so I really appreciate the way they played against him. And in this past game, didn't give up much at all in the running game to Campbell. So I think up front they're doing a great job, and then underneath they're doing a great job on the passing. Just the deep ball was a problem in game 1, and so I want to see more from that down the road. But I'm a believer in this defense so far.
We haven't seen really, Kevin, the explosive play from Anthony Smith nor Yannick Smith as far as like down the field. As you mentioned, Yannick has made some tough catches. So I don't know. To me, that kind of gives me even more hope for the offense because I know that's coming at some point, and they're kind of featuring other guys like the Brock Spalding thing. Like I feel like I'm pretty close to the program. I never expected him to be this good. Obviously, he's doing a heck of a job, but I don't know. Like, do you feel like the best is still even yet to come? Like I think at some point Anthony's going to catch a big one, Yannick, and then they can really get rolling. And then, as you mentioned, the running game as well.
Yeah, listen, and we've heard so many good things about Quez, right? And we haven't seen anything from him yet. So there's no question, Anthony Smith, that's what he does. He gets downfield. He's a deep ball threat. He's going to break 1 or 2 or 3 soon. And Yannick, he's got such good hands, such good size. He's going to win those 50-50 balls. Brock is he's giving us his best Tyler Snead impersonation, right? Like he's making all the plays right now, and that's what you need out of one of your starting receivers. So he's that guy that right now that Caton is kind of counting on, and the tight ends. How good have these tight ends been through 2 weeks, right? Connor and Rouse, more Rouse in game 1 he had more catches, but Connor had the big long one, and then this past game, Connor when Rouse went out with the leg injury, Connor stepped up and caught so many passes across the middle and got us out of some 2nd and 3rd and longs. I think the emergence of the tight ends and Brock have maybe taken a little bit away from Anthony and Yannick, but all together, this passing game has been solid.
Kevin Monroe is with us. A few more things for Kevin. We'll get him out of here. It'll be at Coastal Carolina this coming weekend. It's a smaller stadium, but I'm expecting to be packed. Sounds like there are a lot of purple on the way down there as well. And Coastal has not looked great through 2 games, especially offensively. They've really struggled. They ended up benching their starting quarterback in the last game, so we'll see what happens there. Just ECU's around a touchdown favorite going on the road. It's never easy, Kevin. What are kind of your expectations going into Saturday?
This is a weird one, right? Virginia blows them out, and Virginia's okay. I don't think Virginia's great. I think the Pirates would do fine against Virginia. It would be a very competitive game. And then, Charleston Southern, FCS opponent, this game's 3-0 into the 4th quarter, which that seems really strange. I didn't watch the game, so I don't know what all went on, but I do know the starter threw 3 interceptions. That's obviously going to be part of the problem. But they had 245 rushing yards and only 1 rushing touchdown. So just a lot of weird things going on in that game. I'm not sure why they weren't able to score more often and capitalize on their the running game that they had against Charleston Southern. So not sure what to expect. It seems obvious that they want to run the football, probably most in part because the quarterback play is struggling so much. So we can expect the Pirates are going to have to stop the run. And if they're able to do that and make them one-dimensional and force them to pass the ball, I think the Pirates have a huge advantage there. I think they definitely have more talent than what's shown through 2 games. So I'm sure they're going to go back to the drawing board and try to get back to the fundamentals and fix what's going on. Now, if you're having troubles at quarterback, the Pirates have been through that over the years, and so there's not a whole lot you can do when quarterback play is not good. So I expect Coastal to be better than what they've been in these 2 games. But so far, they haven't looked great on film.
And then it'll be the week after that. They just announced, Kevin, yesterday on Monday that the BYU game will kick at 7:30. Obviously, the team has to take it one at a time, but just looking ahead for us in the media to BYU and what that game could potentially be. It's been a long time since Dowdy Ficklin has been, just packed, and the Pirates played a big opponent at home. It sounds like it's trending towards, I don't know if it'll sell out, but at least trending towards a big crowd night game. I know you'll be excited to be on the call for that one, so you're looking forward to that in a couple weeks?
Oh, I definitely am. And for obvious reasons, I watched every snap of BYU versus Stanford this past week, and BYU is good, but they're not unbeatable. And they're starting a true freshman quarterback who struggled at times. He got sacked a bunch. Stanford's got a pretty good defense, but he got sacked a bunch. He struggled to make, quick on-time decisions. They have a really good running game and a very, very good defense. And so that's going to be the thing. The Pirates are going to have to find a way to run the football on them, get receivers open. But offensively, they can run the ball, and the quarterback wears number 47 because he likes to run the ball, has a fullback mentality, which is the strangest thing I've ever heard. But they don't light up the scoreboard with their offense. So that is a game that I think the Pirates will definitely compete in and have a chance to win if they're able to stop that pass rush and get some yards on offense.
No doubt. For the Pirates take care of business at Coastal, and that'll set up a big one next weekend inside Dowdy Ficklin. All right, Kevin. Appreciate the time. As always, man, we'll connect again next week, but enjoy your son's high school games as well, and best of luck to them.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it, Igo.
Absolutely. That's Kevin Monroe, ECU Sports Network analyst. Always great insights on the show. Appreciate his time each and every week on Hoist the Colors. All right, when we come back, we will wrap up the show. We'll get to your final questions and more. This is Hoist the Colors.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. Final segment here. We got about 5 minutes left. Philip Pilkington producing. Philip, we do our preseason over-under picks every year, and I was writing this morning about ECU setting the program record. 15 different receivers caught a pass. Now, that also includes running backs and Mike Wright, who's a quarterback. So
And tight ends.
And tight ends. But we did have a prop in the preseason. Different ECU receivers / tight ends with at least one catch on the season.
Yeah, I got to
I set the total.
The spreadsheet here.
I set the total at 11.5 because there were 12 last year. I think we may already be over due to the game. Let me read off.
I think I said under because I said it was going to be 6 receivers and 5 tight ends or something.
Yeah. So Brock Spalding has a catch. Javante Connor has a catch. Yannick Smith has a catch. Anthony Smith has a catch. Desiree Riles, Peyton Mangrum, Jaron Waiters, Tyler Johnson, Dylan Lorick, Malik Leverett. That's 10. Keelan Robinson is 11. Jaquez Petaway is 12. That is over. We have already hit the over.
We both picked the under, by the way.
We both. Oh, man. I thought I had the over. I was proud of myself.
No.
Only to be wrong. Gosh, that's crazy.
Wah, wah.
And, unless we want to – and we could even get – if we want to count Mike Wright as a receiver, that would be 13. If we want
as a quarterback.
This is true. If we wanted to count defensive end Kieran Davis, who caught a fake punt, that would be 14. So,
oh my goodness.
It's they've already had like 17 different guys catch a pass through 2 games, which is crazy.
Well, and then the other thing too is there's probably going to be one more tight end get out of that list at some point.
Yeah.
During the season. Also, I want to ask you, how many total receptions do we have by running backs right now?
So running back receptions, London Montgomery has 1. Parker Jenkins has 1. TJ Engelman has 1. That is 3.
Okay.
There's three running back receptions.
We set the over-under at 22.5, so that's why I was...
Okay. There's also been, I think, 3 running back drop passes already. Yeah. So we're definitely trending towards the under there. I don't know. I just feel like all they really throw to the running back in this offense is the little swing pass. I mean, the check down just isn't – you don't really see the check down. It's not a progression-heavy offense. So it's like it almost has to be a design thing.
That there's this much RPO, they're really not part of the pass concept. And like you said too, that you got to block in this offense too if you're a running back, and sometimes a blocker can become an improv check down. But yeah, it's, like you said, they're not really part of the route tree or part of the routes.
All of our receiver total yardage predictions are trending under, as Anthony Smith and Yannick Smith are just over 100 yards through 2 games. I think we're still okay there. But Jaquez Petaway, I think I set the total at like 460. He's got 3 catches for -1 yards through 2 games. So he's got some work to do.
Yeah, I said he was going to lead the team in like damn near every category. It's not looking good. Come on, Jaquez. I still believe in you, Jaquez. Come on, baby.
I was talking to some people out of practice yesterday, and they were saying, look, I mean, we still believe in Quez, and like he is still excellent at practice. It's just he's got to go out there between the white lines and do it. I would say that's kind of been the really, honestly, the biggest surprise through 2 games is Brock Spalding really being the Jaquez Petaway role. I mean, I think they both can play, but Brock's been awesome, and Jaquez has kind of been a no-show at this point.
Yeah, I mean, but Brock's not just doing it in the slot. I mean, he's doing it everywhere. I mean, look, I asked Mike Houston last year through, I don't remember, like I said, I think I brought this up already, but he had 40 snaps, and he had played 20 inside, 20 outside. I said, do you trust him more at the X, the Y, or the Z? And he was like, all of them. He was a very quick, like, he can play everywhere. Like, he didn't have the body that you think would be like a Z especially, but at 5'10", but he don't care.
No doubt. And, I mean, at this point, Brock and both Smiths and one of those tight ends, I mean, you've got 4 legit guys on the field who can make a play at any time. So the passing game looks good, as Kevin Monroe stated. Running game still needs some work. We'll see how it looks, if it looks any better this weekend against Coastal Carolina, especially early in the game. We'll see some explosive runs. All right, we are out of time on this Tuesday show. Appreciate Philip Pilkington behind the scenes, along with his contributions on the show. Thanks to Kevin Monroe. Thanks to everybody in the comment section as well. Bring those comments again tomorrow. We'll get to more of them. We'll also reunite with a former 94.3 The Game star, a man that many of you guys really love to go back and forth with on Twitter. Josh Graham, ECU alum. He has not appeared on 94.3 The Game since leaving the station years ago. I was texting with him this morning. We're going to get Josh Graham on the show tomorrow, talk ECU, talk some ACC, talk college football as a whole. So looking forward to that with Josh Graham. Later this week, we'll talk to Chris Bergen, Coastal Carolina play-by-play voice, along with Macy O'Donnell as well, and then Bobby Harward on Friday. So there's the rundown for the rest of the week. We'll continue to count you down to ECU Coastal on Saturday. We'll see you Wednesday, 12 noon. Thanks for listening.